Good morning, good day, good morrow, good sir, good ma'am. This is Josh. I have another motion picture review for you. I have seen Indie Festival darling We Live in Time, starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. It's directed by John Crowley, who has made a much lauded movie called Brooklyn, and another less so lauded movie called The Goldfinch, and now he has made this film. This is an asynchronous, sort of, I'll get to that, an asynchronous kind of expressionist, or I guess impressionist look at a life and a love, a relationship, a family. And it just takes glimpses of this couple's history together before they were, how they met, when they were dating, their challenges, will they, won't they, breaking up, back together, questions of marriage and children and all those kind of things, and then some present day, as far as the movie's perspective, troubles that they encounter. And this is a movie that comes with, a lot of marketing and prestige, and it has two beloved actors that I enjoy very much, and they're doing their thing. They're kind of doing versions of their screen personas here. Andrew Garfield is, the scruffy but sensitive and lovable, waifish dude, and Florence Pugh is small but powerful and lovable. The first time I ever noticed Florence Pugh, by the way, was a movie that I think has been forgotten, a wrestling comedy where she played a real-life wrestler. I forgot the name of the wrestler. I just remembered, I came away remembering Florence Pugh. It's called Fighting with My Family. It has Lena Headey and Nick Frost. Stephen Merchant, I believe, made the film, wrote the film, maybe possibly even directed the film. Anyway, I'm not saying that's like a huge hidden gem or anything, but I enjoyed that movie. But the big revelation of that movie was it's the first time I noticed Florence Pugh. And she's just one of the most compelling actors for my money, and she's doing her thing here. But what about the gimmick of this movie? This is a movie, like I said, that is told asynchronously. So it is about moments, snapshots from this life, and this is a technique that is done. There's a movie in the theaters right now called The Outrun, which is completely told out of order, in different eras of the life of its protagonist, I think to great effect. I think it's done very well in that movie. You also have movies like Arrival, in a kind of different way, Denis Villeneuve's Arrival, which kind of tells some of its events out of order in a way that heightens the emotional impact. And so I suppose if I have a major criticism for We Live in Time, which is a lovely story, like I say, with compelling, lovable actors, and nothing particularly egregious about it. In fact, it can be quite moving and investing. I just don't understand why, it's called We Live in Time, and it is promoting itself and it's presenting itself as this asynchronous experience. But there's no apparent point, ultimately, to telling portions of the story out of order. This is the other thing. Usually, when you tell a story out of order, it's to create some parallels, to create some contrasts, and to find the perfect pathway to building to an emotional crescendo. And excuse me, this movie has that kind of denouement, or that I'm really abusing the English language today. It has that emotional climax. It builds to something. But I would argue that the asynchronous storytelling doesn't contribute much to it at all, because it's abandoned about halfway through the movie. Maybe a little bit more than the first hour is told out of order, and you can very easily, it's very straightforward. I thought this was going to be more of an art house kind of an experience, and it's extremely straightforward. It's tear jerky. People wear their feelings on their sleeve. The events don't need to be interpreted, except for maybe one thing at the very end that I won't spoil, but even that is very easy to see what is going on. But you think that the asynchronous storytelling must be inherent to this story. This story needs to be told this way. But then about halfway through the movie, we catch up to a certain point, and then it's straightforward for the rest of the movie. They don't cut. Even at the end, they don't start cutting back. Everything is straightforward until the end credits for most of the second half of the movie. And it makes you think, well, then why did those early passages, it seems like it was just a flourish. It was just an exercise. It was just showing off, and I don't think it enhanced anything. I don't think it was necessary. And I think it's evidenced by the fact that the movie just abandons it and tells its story properly, because it's almost like acknowledging, well, now it would be a distraction. Now it would throw us off course if we cut away. So to me, that is a failure of conception and of structuring. But again, nothing here is bad. None of these parts are bad. It is a little bit schmaltzy. It's a little bit like on the nose. It's about, people, two people happening to find each other and overcoming some difficulties to be in love, and then facing challenges when they're together and starting a family. And those things are always going to be moving. And I'm actually a real sucker for that kind of, hazy cutaway to domestic memories and nostalgia. Like in First Man, they do that. Again, they do it in Arrival. Those things really work on me. And this is another story that is ultimately about a parent-daughter relationship. And that gets me, as you know. So there's a lot in here that works, but I'm a pretty easy cry in movies like this. I may not seem like I am. It may be surprising, I don't know, but I'm pretty sensitive, and I like to give myself over to a story in a movie. And I didn't well up or tear up or break during this movie, even as I admired it, and even as I really am compelled by the actors, and they're doing great work. And I don't know, I think that the storytelling out of order, it just draws attention to itself. So it felt more like a movie. It felt more like an artistic exercise to me than a real experience. And I don't think it needed to be made this way. So there's a lot of big festival buzz movies, and I feel like they're often anticlimactic. It's become meaningless. It's become a joke on, like film social media, when a movie gets an extended 10-minute ovation at a festival that doesn't mean anything about the quality of the movie or how audiences are going to interact with it. And I heard someone say that that's technically like that has to do with the mechanics of like having the cast and crew in the room, and everybody gets their due and everybody gets their moment in that ovation. So if at screenings where there is no cast and crew in the room, those ovations don't exist. So it's not, when you hear, didn't we hear that the Joker got a 7-minute ovation or something like that? Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux. But this is one of those movies that's come with a lot of like prestige and anticipation. And it is very nice to see these two actors together. It's a nice pairing, and it's not a disaster or a flop. It just doesn't stick the landing, and it doesn't add up to much. But that's it. Thank you for watching. You can find all of my reviews and stuff and things and items at patreon.com/JoshWay. And I also have a podcast feed. The Patreon link in the podcast feed will be in the description here on YouTube. And I thank you for your time. I'll talk to you again very soon. Josh out.